Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. I don't sound very well, so I apologize. I'm going to talk as loud as I can. Getting over that nasal crud that I'm sure is going around everywhere. I feel fine, just getting over it, so please excuse that part. So this video is going to be kind of a montage, if you will. It's going to cover a few different things. I kind of like tying up some loose ends on some things that I've been wanting to put out there that I think especially are really important with the inauguration coming up in just a few days. So I want to start by giving you Trump's schedule so that you are aware if you haven't looked this up already. So on January 18th, and that would be Saturday, there is going to be fireworks at Trump Sterling Golf Club in Virginia. And then on Sunday, there's the wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And then he's going to have a victory rally, kind of like a parade. Okay. And then on January 20th, Inauguration Day, there will be church at St. John's at 10. And then 11:45 is when they all meet at the Capitol for the inauguration part. And then on Tuesday, the 21st, is a national prayer service. So those 4 days, those are the events. And there isn't, just so that you're aware, they never just have the inaugural ball. There's like several different balls that happen throughout. There's like 3 different balls just on Inauguration Day. And then I think it's Zuckerberg is also going to have an inaugural ball somewhere. I don't know where that one's at. But it's never just one ball. There's several. Okay. So just so that you have a timeline of where Trump will be at certain points during those 4 days. It's just going to be really important to pay attention to. So I want to close up. I'm not going to close it up, but I'm going to give you a little bit more information on what we found about the fog. So it was being seen in obviously several states: Texas, Wisconsin, Iowa, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Florida, and Minnesota. But it was also being seen in other places around the world. Some of the symptoms that came out of that fog was coughing, sore throats, congestion, eye irritation, lethargy, loss of appetite, stomach, intestinal, gut issues, that type of thing. What is important to understand about this, and I think it was either my last video or the one before that where I talked about how we've had the ability to create this type of fog for quite a while. But what we didn't know, and thanks to my husband for fighting this, the USAF had come out, it was published December 29th of 1997. And it's an article, or not an article, a report called Owning the Weather 2025. I don't have the actual link to that. I will try to post that in the comments. But so this is not a new thing, as I said before. But what I didn't understand is that there was an actual report on this done by the United States Air Force. And again, it's, manipulating the weather so that they can use it in the battlefield to confuse and use it as concealment for military exercises that they do. So I thought that was really important. The other piece of that is with the drones. So there was all this speculation going around that there was a tactical nuke, I think was the term that was going around, saying that they had lost one of those and they had created the fog to conceal the drones who were still looking for this tactical nuke. Well, what ended up being missing, according to our research, was it's called a radioactive pig. And it's basically this pin that is radioactive that goes inside the missile. No?
It's for cancer research.
Oh, okay, it's for cancer research. He did the research on this, so I'm getting... So it's for cancer research, but that's what they lost. Now, of course, we all have to keep in mind this is what's being reported. Okay? So don't take this. This is just what we found for more information on it. It was lost, and then they ended up finding it in Indianapolis. So take that at face value. I'm not saying that that's what everything was about with the drones. I'm just saying that that's what they're putting out there for information. Okay. The other thing that I said that I would talk about, and I apologize that it has taken me a while to do so, I want to talk about the bird flu. So I found out, and if you guys have looked into this, great, but here's what I know. So in order to determine whether someone or something has bird flu, including chickens, cows, blah, 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 they use the same PCR test, the rapid test, same as what they used for COVID. What they look for is an H5 or an H7 subtype of avian flu virus, okay? I want you to really pay attention to what I'm telling you, because it does not make sense, but this is what I found. The PCR test can detect the RNA of a virus and can differentiate between similar viruses. Okay? So the H5 avian flu is the one that so far supposedly has transferred to humans. Okay? Keep that in mind. And supposedly this PCR test can differentiate between similar viruses. Okay. So I went on the mayoclinic.org. You know, they're very prestigious hospital network, right? Research network. And I was really surprised to find that so if someone has the bird flu, they prescribe the same medicines for avian flu as they do any other flu virus. So Tamiflu, which is ingested, Relenza, which is the inhaler, and Rapivab, which is an injection. And I thought, well, how can that be? Right? If these are distinguishable viruses with separate RNAs, how can the same remedies be used for these different types of flu viruses, right? So I went onto the CDC website, the actual CDC website, and I'm going to read you, and this is quoting, this is exactly what the CDC website says. Avian influenza A viruses are very different. I want you to note that, underline it. Very different from human seasonal influenza viruses. They have the potential to cause a pandemic in people if they were able to gain the ability to more easily infect and spread efficiently between people, because people have little pre-existing immunity to these viruses. Okay? So what they're saying is the avian influenza A, this H5N1 avian flu, bird flu virus, is very different from your normal seasonal flu. Can cause a pandemic if they are able to gain the ability to spread and infect. Because we have little pre-existing immunity to these viruses, right? Because they're so different. Directly under that, 5 paragraphs later, under the treatment heading, very first paragraph, flu antiviral drugs can treat avian influenza A virus infections. If they are so different, they can tell by the RNA that they're different, and they are very different from human seasonal influenza, and they can cause a pandemic because they can infect and spread because people have little pre-existing immunity, but yet they can use the same exact antiviral drugs. So Tamiflu can kill both viruses. It also later goes on to say that your seasonal flu vaccines are not designed or intended to protect against avian influenza A viruses. Do you see the discrepancy here? So they're very different. They can tell by the RNA. People are more susceptible to it because we don't have the immunity. Okay? But yet they're going to prescribe the exact same flu treatments that they would prescribe, right? The Tamiflu, etc. But don't take the flu vaccine because that's not intended to protect against avian influenza A. So guys, if you are seriously thinking that this is a thing, so either they are going to manipulate it to make it far worse than what Mayo Clinic or the CDC is going to tell us openly, or they just think people are really that stupid. I'm just saying. So I wanted to put that out there. It's nothing to worry about at this point. That doesn't mean that can't change. But at this point, if you get sick, take Tamiflu, rest. Your flu vaccine's not going to fix it. I don't know why your flu treatments can, but the flu vaccines can't. It seems a little weird to me, but I wanted to close that thing that I had been wanting to talk about. So, really briefly, touching on the fires going on in California, there's a lot of similarities between California and Lahaina. The fires about 1.5 years ago on Maui. I'm looking for that silver bullet, if you will, which I haven't found. But there are a lot of similarities between the two. And also keep in mind, and obviously, I understand why people are upset with the celebrities and the actors and actresses, the multi-bajillionaires out there, and you know how they're crying over their lost, burnt down homes because they can just rebuild. But every human being on this planet has an attachment to their home. Okay? Every human being on this planet has something in their home that has emotional value. So, obviously, I don't think that celebrities, like a few of them I can think of, should be putting out a GoFundMe page. They have the means to rebuild, even without insurance. Okay? My heart goes out to everybody, but especially the ones that have no way to rebuild because their insurance happened to be taken away just a few weeks prior. But it isn't a coincidence that not long before these fires broke out, there was a lot of talk from Governor Newsom about Smart LA 2028. You might want to look that up. Okay? Those 15-minute cities, building these high-rise buildings complete with your supermarkets, right? Your gas stations, everything that you would need in this block. Look it up. I can't imagine what those people are going through. But I also don't want to forget the people over in the Carolinas. You know, those people are in freezing weather right now, and they're either in tents or campers. So while everybody's eyes right now is focused on California, please don't forget to continue to help and support the people that were hit by Hurricane Helene. Because that is still devastating. They're still finding bodies. They're still trying to get the scope of devastation over there. So keep them in your prayers at the same time that you're praying for California. Okay? The last thing I want to touch on, and the reason I'm touching on this is because I have had a lot of anxiety, not inwardly, but just kind of really paying attention to the upcoming inauguration. So I've gotten a lot of news breaks about possible, the threats higher for more copycat events like what happened in New Orleans. Okay? There's a lot of chatter about possible copycats happening at some point during those 3 days, mainly from the 18th to the 20th. So I don't know how many of you know about the Havana syndrome. So this is where that group of people that went to Havana, Cuba, and they all ended up really sick. Something was going on. They didn't know if it was in the food, whatever. So I looked into this because during my husband and I's research on a lot of stuff going on, we came across, and I'm sure you guys are well aware, is the directed energy weapons. They call them DEWS, DEWS, right? So what these are basically are transmitters that send out a vibration, okay? So think of in the movies, where they're trying to listen in on somebody's home. I think in E.T. they used it right on top of the van. But these actually project out frequencies that can, the one that we read about, it can actually burn the body. There's another one that affects internal organs, including the brain. That's the one that I'm going to talk about. So there's 3 different types, and I can't remember what the third one is. So there was a 5-year study that was done into this Havana syndrome. And it's what they came up with was acoustics, weapons testing, portable microwave transmitters. They send out a vibration that affects the body. There's a lot of countries that have this technology, but the three main countries are the United States, China, and Russia. Okay, Russia's been experimenting with this for many, many years. So have we, and so have China. But I think there's like 9 other countries that have this. Okay, it's been basically studied for over 50 years. Okay, the CIA, of course, denies that any foreign adversary is responsible. Okay, now here's why I'm bringing this up. So these transmitters, they create headaches, tinnitus, bleeding from the nose, nausea, disorientation. You hear like a loud noise or a crackle or something like that. Dizziness. Some people have had memory loss. Some have had like their brain just kind of stays in a fog for a long time. Some of the victims of this have been State Department officials, a counterterrorism advisor to Mike Pence, Department of Homeland Security personnel, a family. So the husband worked in the Commerce Department, and he worked in China, and he was attacked there. And then he came home to his family in Philadelphia in the United States and was attacked again. And his children were also affected. His children started having seizures. They were bleeding from the nose. They were like, there were periods of time where they were almost like zombies, like they weren't reacting. Okay. So this 5-year study, this is what they came up with, that this was the result of this directed energy weapon. Now, these things can go through walls, they can go through windows, obviously, because it affected his kids were in bed. And when he went to go check on his kids, they heard this thing in their ears, and their children started reacting really oddly. So if it's only something that fits on the side of a van, think of something that could be built much bigger, and how much longer the range would be, and how many more people that could affect. Okay. So it was really interesting because after this 5-year study, and I am so sorry that I did not write down who did this. I think it was actually a team from CBS, if I remember right. And that was their conclusion. They went and talked to the victims. They went and talked to witnesses of these victims, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they did a 5-year study. This is what they concluded. So the NIH, of course, National Institutes of Health, decided that they were going to do their own research. Okay, well, first of all, that doesn't make it credible. You're going to do your own research, right? So they put out a report on March 18th of 2024. And, of course, they found that there was no evidence that any of these victims' internal organs or brains had been affected. They basically chalked it up to depression, anxiety, and high stress, including in the children. Okay. Now you have to remember that the NIH is also the ones that said, stay 6 feet apart, wear that mask, right? Backed the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. So if they are able to deny what caused these symptoms, they can continue to just treat those symptoms. And who benefits? Remember, that's part of PSYOPs. Who benefits? Well, of course, the pharmaceuticals do. Why am I bringing that up in this video? Because we have 3 days of very large mass public gatherings. And I have said from day one that they will stop at nothing. Does that mean I know something? No. Does it mean I'm watching for it? Absolutely. Because we prep in possibilities. Okay? Obviously, we don't want anything to happen. We want this to be super smooth, super quiet, nothing going on, right? But we prep in possibilities, and they will stop at nothing. As of the recording of this video, it is Tuesday, whatever day it is. So we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days before some of this stuff starts happening. So guys, I need you to pay attention. I need you to be prepared. Okay? Stay vigilant. Pray with all your might for the people in the victims of Hurricane Helene, the people that are the victims now of the wildfires in California. Still pray for the Lahaina victims, okay? We can't forget them. But pray that God will stay the hand of those that want to do this country and the incoming president and his cabinet picks, his family, right? Harm. We don't want that to happen. So pray that God shields that. Okay? But this is a little bit more information that I thought you guys should be aware of. I apologize that it's a little longer video, but I thought this was super important for everybody to understand. This all ties together. It's all stuff. There's no coincidences in anything. You guys know that. It only happens because someone wants it to. So remember that. And hopefully my next video, we won't have to quite be so vigilant. Or maybe the world will be on fire. Who knows? Hoping for the best. Praying for the best. But in the meantime, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. Thank you to all of you that have been with me. And obviously, if I hear anything new that comes up between now and Saturday, I will obviously put another video out to make you aware of it. So stay safe, stay vigilant, and God bless.